Hi everyone, you're welcome to this tutorial. Now in this video, I'm going to teach you how to do your workspace setup in AutoCAD before starting out a new drawing. And I'm going to do that following 5 basic steps. First, we are going to set up the units. Secondly, we are going to set up the drawing limits. And then we are going to zoom. We are also going to set up the object snap and then the layers. But before we get started, I just like to ask you to go ahead and like this video, share it and leave a comment below the comment section. And if you haven't, consider subscribing to this channel because we make useful tutorials like this every week. Now, without wasting much of our time, let's get started. Now this is the interface you're going to see when you double click on the AutoCAD icon on your desktop. Now what you're going to do to open up a new AutoCAD drawing sheet, the first is here. When you come to this corner, you're going to see 2 options. This is open in case you want to open file that already exists on your desktop. Whatever, you can just click this and open a file and allow it to load up. So if it loads up like this, you can now click on the file you're looking for, or you search for it on whichever drive you have saved it. So let's cancel this and go back because we are trying to open a new file that is not yet set up at all. You're going to go to new and then you click on this drop down. You see autocad.dwt. You click on it and allow it to load. So it loads up like this. Now this is a fresh file. Nothing has been set up except the default settings it came with. The first thing you have to do is to set up the name for this file. And then how do you do that? You will go to app menu here and then you see save as. You click on save as. You see drawing this DWG file. You click on it and then right here you can name it. Okay, let's call it setup file. And it's going to be on your document, or let's leave it on the desktop and then you say save. So we have saved that on our desktop. And here too on this file you're going to see grid lines on it. In case you don't like those grid lines, you can come to this point and turn it off. As you can see, it's turned off. So if you pick a line and just draw, you can now see the lines very clearly. It all depends on your choice anyways. Now the first setup we are going to be doing here is to set up the units. 2 options to do that. Either you come to a command bar here and type unit, UN for units. You can see it appear. So once you click on that, or you finish typing and say enter, this box appears before you. Or another way to come to this point is, let me cancel this out first, is to go to your format on the menu bar. You click on the format and then you come down to units here, you click on it, it opens up. Now here you're going to be setting up the length type, the angle type, the insertion scale, and then the lighting. So the first one for the length type here, if you drop this down, you're going to see a couple of options. See architectural, decimal, engineering, fractional, scientific, and all of these is based on what drawing units you are very conversant with and you like using on your drawing. For example, if you like using inches and feet, then you have to choose the architectural or engineering. But for the sake of this tutorial, we are going to be using millimeters, and for millimeters, you're going to be choosing decimal. And apart from that too, we have any other real world drawing units. You can also find it in one of those options. It all depends on which of them you're conversant with. So we are leaving it at decimal here. Then for the precision, I like my drawings to always be in one decimal point. So I leave it as 0. Then for the angle type, here you have a couple of options as well. Whether you are a mechanical engineer, a civil engineer, an architect, whatsoever aspect of engineering you belong, you have all these here also representing what sort of angle type you will be requiring. So you go for which of them will meet your drawing requirements. So here I'm going to leave it as decimal degrees. Even if you're a surveyor, here you will see degree, minutes, and seconds. You will also see surveying units, you see radians, grades, and you see all of that there. So they are all here to meet your drawing requirements. So here I'm going to leave it as decimal degrees, and then here for the precision, angle precision, I'm going to leave it as 0 also, and then you can check this clockwise box here. Then here, as you can see, by default it has it as inches. You can drop that down and pick millimeters because that's my preferred drawing unit. And then for this particular point here, I can leave it as international. We have international and American standard. For direction here, if you check that, is already on east, okay, and then you can say okay. So that is it for the units. We have set up the drawing units, and then the next thing we are going to set up here is the drawing limits. Actually, what the limits talks about is that if, for example, I pick a square here and I draw here, the limit within which you're going to be making your drawing is within this box. That's what the drawing limit is all about. So I'm going to do that setup in order to create a boundary, because this workspace seen here is more or less like infinity. So you are creating a limit within which you'll be making your drawing so that whatever you draw, you can actually see it. And then we are going to be setting that up. How do you do that? Either you navigate to your format here, and then you come down to this point, you see drawing limits, or you also type it on the command bar just like we did before. It will still appear. So let me just click here, and then you read on the command bar what they are telling you. AutoCAD is saying here specify lower left corner, and then the lower left corner you're going to specify 0, 0. Let me just say 0, 0. You say enter. You have done that. Now they are also saying specify upper right corner. Now the upper right corner is all dependent on you, how the limit you want to set up. If you choose maybe 2000, 2000 is all up to you. If you also want it to be the size of an A3 sheet, which is 420 millimeters by 297 millimeters, you can go by that. But for the sake of this tutorial, let me just go for 2000, 2000. So you can say 2000, 2000. You say enter. So you have actually created a limit for your drawing sheet. So what that means is that between here to this point, to this point, to this point is actually 2000 by 2000. And the next thing we are going to do, we are going to zoom it into this worksheet. And then how to do that, you type Z for zoom and say enter. And then you have options here also. They are saying all, center, dynamic extent, previous, scale, Windows object. So you are going to choose A for all. So you say A and you say enter. Okay, the next thing we are going to do right now is to set up the object snap. The object snap actually what it entails is that when you pick a drawing, for example, I want to make this drawing on the center line. If you take this cursor very close to the center line, see when it gets to the center there, it snaps at that point, making your work easy. Okay, and you're going to be seeing how it can be set up. Now you're going to type O snap. So as you can see, it has appeared there. So once you click on it, this dialog box comes up, and by default some of them are already set up. We have the endpoint, we have the midpoint, center, we have the geometric center, node, all of these. So you can just check the ones you want to be set up as well, or uncheck whichever one you don't like to be there. And then when you are done, you say OK. So that is it for the O snap. Then the next thing we are going to be setting up here is layer. Actually, when it comes to drawing, layer is very important. Let me show you why it's very important. If I go here, I have this drawing already. Here, this is a foundation layout of a structural drawing. You can see there are different lines with different line widths here. each of them representing different elements. For example, if you check this line, which represents our foundation layout, if I select it, you're going to see foundation layout, and you're also going to see that it has different line weights. And we also have the one running in the center of it, which represents our wall, and it also has different color and it has different line weights. And we also have all these grid lines with different color and different line weights. Also have these dimensions with different color, different line weights. If you also check this, which represents the foundation footing, you can see it is named footing, and it also have different line weights from others. So this is why it's important to have layers before you start out your drawing, or to set layers before you can start up a new drawing. Now let's go back and I will show you there, so how to set up those layers. Now we are just going to go to this layer panel. This very panel on the center here is the layer panel. If you drop this down, you're going to see there is no layer set up already. So we are going to say layer properties, and you double click on the layer properties. So the properties of the layer comes up. Now if you hover your cursor around here, you notice this is layer state manager, and then this is new layer, meaning you are about to set up a new layer here. Now let's say you are an architect that does architectural plan. If you want to set up, that means you're going to set up a layer for the wall, you're going to set up a different layer for the windows, you're going to set up a different layer for the doors, you're also going to set up a layer for the grid, trying to explain to you how you can do that effectively. Now let's say we want to set up a layer for the wall. You click on this new here, and this box comes up, so you can say wall. Under the name you can say wall, and because you're also going to be having different walls anyways, so you can just name this wall 1. All right, and then you come down to the color, and you might choose to use red for your walls, and you say OK, and you come down to line type. If you click on the line type, you're going to see we have this solid line already. If you want to load more lines, just to see we have different types of lines, we have broken lines, we have all of that, so we can cancel this and leave it as solid line. You say OK, and then we'll set up the line weight. Line weight, when you click this, you now see different kinds of line weight. Because it's a wall, we can now consider using 0.13 millimeters and say OK. And then the next thing here is that we can just leave the rest and set up the new one for the windows, and then we'll go back to this point for new layer again. Here we can choose windows. You set up the name as windows, and then we can turn the color into something else. Okay, let's choose green for the color. Okay, and then let's also change the line weight, as the case may be. We can use 0.05, and then we can set up for doors as well. We'll go new layer. Okay, we'll click on it. Doors. We can turn the color into something else. Okay, for the door, let's use yellow. We can leave the line weight same as the window. And then for new, another one, let's for grid lines, grids. For the color, we can just use, okay, let's use this. Okay, for the color. And then for the line weight, because it's a grid line, we can leave it at 0.000 millimeters. Okay. And then we can also set up for dimensions. Okay, dimension. We can use white for the dimensions. Okay, you click on the white, and 0.00 is okay for the dimension. And at the end of the day, whichever one you pick here, if you select the wall and click on set current and you close this out, or you can come to this point and click on wall, you click on it, wall becomes the active layer. So if you pick any line here and draw a line just like that, let's put this on auto and draw a line just like that. So this line represents the wall. On any one you need, if you pick this for grid, for example, you pick your construction line, you say V for vertical, okay, you're going to be seeing that is exactly the line you set up that you're working with. So this is how to set dimension. But in case for any reason you want to turn on and off your layers, you're still going to go back to your layer property. And then here, as you see, all of these things looking like electric bulb, whichever one you want to turn off. For example, I want to turn off this grid layer. If you click on it, they say turn the current layer off, or say keep the current layer on. If you say yes, you see you have turned the layer off, and then you can keep working. It will look as if the layer is not there, but it's there. You only turned it off from this place, and then if you come to turn it on again, it comes up again. So that is how to set layers. And then up next, after setting up this, is to set up dimensions. So here I'm going to leave a link to a video. I did an extensive teaching about dimension settings, and then I'm going to leave the link below the description box of this video. So after this, you can refer to that video and get complete setup of your worksheet before starting out a new drawing. Now with this, we have come to the end of this tutorial. And if you haven't, consider subscribing to this channel because it helps me a lot on the YouTube algorithm. And then make sure you hit that like button so more people can see and benefit from this video. I really appreciate you watching this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.